All right, this is Ray the CPA, and I am coming at you. We're going to do a little bit of going over the PPP first draw form from the SBA. So, without further ado, I've gone to SBA.gov. I've Googled SBA 2483. That's the form that we're going to look at. Let's go look at it. So, let's get it on screen. So, now we can see the Paycheck Protection Program. Borrower application form revised January 8th. Always look for this date. If this date isn't necessarily showing you after 2021, you're probably on the wrong form. So let's continue to scroll down. First off, you identify who you are. Sole Pro, partnerships, C Corp, S Corp, LLC, you get the drift. Things to note, this is a nonprofit, 501c3. 501c6 is a chamber of commerce. 501c19 is a veterans organization like a VFW. You have a housing cooperatives, tribal businesses, and potentially others. When in doubt, it won't hurt you to go. Now, a lot of people struggle with this. DBA, doing business as, or your trade name. So, for example, you may have a legal entity that's called something slightly different than your common name, right? So I do business under a company called CBT Limited, so I have a DBA for CBT Limited. My actual S corporation has a slightly different name. Or if my business, I'm doing business as Ray the CPA, as opposed to CBT Limited. You'll know if you have a DBA, you'll know that. Um, so there's that. Okay, so my collar felt weird. All right, there we go. Year of establishment, you know that. Business legal name, that is your tax return name. So let's scroll that in really quickly. So scrolling down, your NAICS code, if you Google NAICS code for whatever you're doing, for Uber, for whatever, you can find that code. It's just an industry code that identifies your industry. If you know it, good. If you don't, I can help, or you can Google that. These boxes here, the on the SBA form. Sorry, I got some things in my way. Just move those out of my way. No more than 500 employees or 300 employees. That's all part of what we've discussed in other videos. It's simply the Small Business Administration's definition of small businesses. All of these can apply. This is a first draw form, so under 500, unless you are a 501c6, in which case it's 300. So that's why they have an or there. All right. Pretty self-explanatory. Your business address, city, street. Your tax identification number could be your social or your EIN, your employer identification number, depending on how you're set up. Self-explanatory. Business phone, primary contact is probably you. If you have partners, maybe it's somebody else, or if you're LLC with multi-members, maybe it's different members. Okay, and then your email address. You need a good email address. Now here, let's get into some of the nitty-gritty of this form. This is the calculation that we've spoken about, or I've spoken about to you several times. Average monthly payroll. If you have employees, that's the average monthly payroll cost. Payroll cost plus wage cost. That's what you're looking for in this box. For example, if let's say you have 10 employees, you pay them $10,000 a year, you have $100,000. Okay, you're going to divide 100,000 by 12. That's going to give you 8,333. Then you're going to take that 800 or 8,333 and you're going to multiply that sucker by 2.5. So that's going to give you 20,833, I think. Then you add, this is key, times 2.5, add any EIDL you had. So let's say you had a 40,000 EIDL. So $100,000, that gives you $100,000 a year is your cost. You have 10 employees. That's going to give you, if you divide that total cost by 12, the number of months in a year, you're going to get 8,333. 8,333 times 2.5 is 20,833 maybe, or 20,333, I can't remember. Then you're going to add that to your EIDL amount. So you would then be eligible for 65,000. Okay? Number of employees in this scenario would be 10. Now, the purpose of this loan, what are you going to use the loan for? Payroll costs, rent and mortgage interest, utilities, covered worker protection expenditures. You need to buy masks for all your employees or whatever. Covered supplier costs. You got to do some special stuff to have your supplier deliver you deliveries now because we're in a new environment. Your property was damaged and you weren't insured for that specific damage via protests or things like that. There's always other, but this is pretty wide, right? So we can work with this. Now, the form is going to then ask you, what's your ownership percentage? Everybody that's over 20% is what this is talking about. So if you, let's say you have a multi-member LLC and your mom is in there, your auntie in them, and I had a coworker that used to say in them because she was from Louisiana, so she reminded me how they'd say, you know, your mom and them. That means everybody in your family in your house. But anyway, so let's say that you have 5 people that have ownership. You have 50%. Your other member has 20%. And then the other 3 people have 10% each. You don't have to mention the other 3 people, just you and your partner that has above 20%. All of those. If you don't have enough line, you can attach a separate sheet if necessary. Okay. These questions, I don't know if I'm going to read all of them. Is the applicant or owner presently suspended, debarred? If you're dealing with the federal government or some state governments, you can be suspended or debarred. That means you can't do business. Or presently involved in a bankruptcy? Answer yes or no. If you answer yes to any of these, it's going to lower your chances. So you really want no. But if you have this and you can explain it, then go through it. And don't ever, ever, ever make stuff up. Don't lie. Okay? It's always better to apply than not to apply. All right. Has the applicant or owner ever obtained a direct guaranteed loan from the SBA or the federal or any other federal agency that is currently delinquent or you have defaulted in the last 7 years? So the SBA has other loans, and if you took out an SBA loan in the past and for whatever reason you weren't able to pay it back, this is going to affect you now. So answer yes or no. Is the applicant or any owner of the applicant an owner of any other business, have common management, including management agreement? What they're talking about here is they don't want a steak shake situation. So they want you to clearly identify who you're affiliated with so that you're not circumventing the 300 employee requirement or the number of profit requirement. Did the applicant receive EDL between January 31st and April 3rd, 2020? Answer yes, and then give the details. If you had EIDL, always have your documentation for that loan. You're going to need it. Okay. Any owners above 20% presently incarcerated for any felony presently subject to indictment, criminal information arraignment, or other means by which formal criminal charges. I guess you can guess why. This is here. Initial here. So they're really making sure that you let them know that you are on the hook for this answer. All right, again, answer honestly. Within the last 5 years, are you involved in a felony, fraud, bribery, embezzlement? Again, there was a lot of fraud involved with the PPP the first round. So this second round, they want to make sure. Second round, first draw. This means this form, this entire form, are for people that have not yet received a PPP loan. If you applied before and you were denied, if you applied before and you just didn't follow through with it, or you were late, then that's what you need to do. Okay. You need to be from the United States. It needs to be your principal residence. Are you a franchise? Again, they want to make sure that people are properly using this loan for small businesses. So if you're a franchise and you own more, or you own a McDonald's, they want to be sure. This is not necessarily going to disqualify you, um, but your life is easier if these are all no. Is the franchise listed in the SBA's franchise directory? Okay. So if we go down here, you are attesting, you are certifying, and I'll let you read this, but basically you're certifying that you understand the rules. You know, when you get a credit card and they're like, hey, read all this stuff, your user agreement, and you don't read it, read this, okay? Read this carefully. These are things that you're going to apply with the law. You're not going to defraud. You are a sole proprietor, or you're one of the qualifying organizations, 501c6, 19, sole proprietor. You get it. You won't discriminate against people. You won't um, you won't commit fraud. You will be adherent to all applicable laws here. Okay. I'm just scrolling to see if I missed anything. So again, after you read all that stuff, you need to put an initial, because they want to make extra special, take extra special precaution that you are not defrauding. So every time you initial these, you are, going to be held accountable that you initialed that you were in business as of February 15th. If you weren't, you're in trouble. Now, if you fill your form through me and my business partner, Biz2Credit, I'm going to certify this. Okay, I'm going to go over questions with you to make sure that this happens, because if it doesn't help me to submit your form. You're not going to get the loan, right? There's another video I'm going to do about documentation, so there's that. So you're asserting that you understand that there's a 60/40 rule. You can read the rest of these on your own, but essentially, if you look at my other videos for the requirements of using a PPP loan, that'll guide you through these. Or if I'm filling out the application for you, you're working with me and my business partner, Biz2Credit, that gives out loans, then we'll go over all of these, okay? So we're scrolling. Then we get your signature of myself, or if you have a power of attorney, somebody else is filling this out for you, or you sign this, print your name, sign your name up here, give your title, are you the owner, the president, the whatever, date it, and then we're going. Now, I think down here, these are the instructions, and let's see, and there are optional demographics on the last page. This is voluntary, so your principal is you, or your authorized representative, and then you're going to check the box of what you are. Are you a veteran? I am, yes. Are you gender? I guess if you are non-binary or somebody like that, you have to put not disclosed, but I put male. Race, I put I put multiple things here sometimes, just cause. And finally, ethnicity. And that, my friends, is your form 2483 from the Small Business um, Administration. I'll put a link down in the description for this form, and we can go from there. Now, this form can't be submitted directly to the SBA. This form has to go through your bank, your lender, which could be a bank or it could be a financial technology, a fintech. The lender that I partner with is a fintech, a financial technology firm. So that's important to know. So I'm going to come on back here. All right, that's not what I wanted. So it's important. I got new software, so I'm using it. Enjoy. So there you have it, Form 2483. If you are a PPP applicant for the first draw, second round, first draw, meaning you haven't had this before. I can go over the 2483 SD, which is the second draw form. That's for people that had PPP before and are going to get another chomp at the bit. that you want more funds, you need more funds for your business, which is perfectly acceptable. That'll be in upcoming videos. All right, as always, I appreciate you. God bless you. Bang bang. Subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. All right, take care.